Hello everyone. If you've been following this channel and this playlist so far, you have built a lot of AI agents, or at least I would like to think so. And in this video, we'll be taking it one step further and actually deploying our agent, actually putting our AI agent into the world. And that is pretty much the only way you can use it from wherever you are, right? So without further ado, let's understand the process that we'll be using it. It's going to be the simplest process that possibly can be. So let's get to it. We are looking at the official documentation for our deployment. So this is given to us by Agent Development Kit's documentation. It tells us that there are many ways of deploying our AI agent, irrespective of whether our agent has been created using Agent Development Kit or not. So we have this agent. You can deploy this using different ways. They're all listed down here as well. So first is the agent engine in Vertex AI. This is a fully managed auto-scaling service on Google Cloud, and this can be used to build and scale AI agents with frameworks such as ADK. So if you've built it using any other frameworks as well, you can consider this option. Then we have Cloud Run. It is a managed auto-scaling compute platform specifically for container-based applications. So if that is what you're going for, you can consider this option. And if you have Kubernetes at the core of your deployment process, you can use this option. All right. So in this video, we will be looking at the simplest one, which is Agent Engine in Vertex AI. Now, I feel like this is going to be a very useful tool in the future, as at least as far as AI tools are concerned. This is what I wanted to cover over here, especially given its simplicity. So let's go to its page and see what it talks about. The process that we'll be following, and there are about two, I think, given on this page. We'll be following the accelerated deployment process that's on your screen. So I won't go through the docs line by line. I will simply go to the shorter version of the notes that I have made for you guys, which you can find in the description below, the GitHub link to this repository. You will find it, and that is where you will find this process as well. So the process starts from actually building our agent, right? So the way we build our agent is pretty similar to how we have built all the other agents that we have in the past. The only difference is that this time we've kept our logic inside this app folder, and we'll see why in some time. So we have, and you can ignore this deploy.py file. It is just code which is completely commented out right now. And it has some credentials, which is why I can't show it on screen, but it is of no use. I was trying something else out. All right, so let's just ignore this. We have the requirements.py file, requirements.txt file, sorry. This has our two dependencies that we need for deployment. First is Google's Agent Development Kit, and second is Google Cloud AI Platform with ADK and agent engines as the extra packages that we need for our deployment process. The rest is very similar to what we've built so far, which is the init.py file. Then we have our environment file. We have .env.example file. Then that uses credentials that we've used in the past. You can set this value to true in your .env file. Google API key is the same as what we've been using in the past. Then we have Vertex configuration. Now you can, we'll get to this part in a bit. For now, let's go over to the agent that we're actually going to deploy today. So we will be deploying an agent. You can pause and read these instructions if you want. It will take in text as an input from the user. And the goal of this agent is to shorten that text, to summarize that text, and give a basic analysis of the efficiency that it has. For example, if I have 100 word text that I input to my agent, it may reduce it to about 30 words. It will give me how many words it reduced, what percentage of reduction it has achieved. So that's what it is supposed to achieve over here. This custom tool has been added to our root agent, very similar to what we've done in the past once again. So if you haven't built any of these agents, I highly recommend that you do so. So for this video, this is a small agent that we'll be deploying and testing out. Now, coming to the actual deployment process, I don't want to spend too much time on development. We've done it for like 10-12 videos now. So deployment starts from installing Google Cloud CLI. So we have our documentation over here. And if you don't have it installed, I suggest you highly do so. I already have it installed on my device. What you can do is just follow the steps. You can download this for your particular OS, and you can put it in the relevant folder, run the particular commands, which is only just this command actually, and it will be installed. And then you can start to initialize your cloud. So I'll just go in another terminal for that. All right, so I'll go back. I have Google Cloud ADK, SDK, sorry, in my folder over here in this AI folder. So I will go into this folder and initialize. But before initializing, I need to set up the required project actually. So let's go over to Google Cloud and do exactly that. So let's create a new project so that you understand this a little better. So let's call it ADK deployment. I will create this project and close this up. All right. So a project has been created. We'll select this. All right. Sounds good. And here we have to enable our Vertex AI APIs. So we have Vertex AI. Let's just search for that. All right. Let's agree and continue. Let's go over here and click on enable all recommended APIs. What it allows you to do that is that once your model is deployed, once your agent is deployed, it will be using Vertex AI. So we need to enable some APIs and keep this in mind. It is very, very important. Go through the pricing of this particular feature, which is Vertex AI, and make sure that you are aware of what you will be paying. And it is a very minimal cost, very, very minimal cost that you will have to pay, especially if you just start your project, test it out, and then remove everything out after that. I'm not going through it right now to save on time, and also because pricing will vary as this video gets older. So for updated information, just go to the pricing page, and and while this is being done, what we also want to do is create a bucket over here. So bucket is basically used to store any kind of data. This is common for AWS, this is common for GCP. So I'll just go to bucket here. Why do we need to create bucket over here? Because we want to store our agents, files, and other such data somewhere. So in this deployment process, that is stored inside a bucket. All right, so we can start with this. Let's call it ADK deployment. Let's continue. Let's see, this name is taken. One. All right, great. We will stick with US multiple regions for this example. Although you should typically go for an option that is best suited to you in terms of both cost and latency. So for now, I'm just continuing this. And we will go with standard class for now. This will again vary for a production based project. Let's go for uniform, and you can just keep things as default for now. And we want to enforce public access prevention on this bucket. Be very careful about it. You don't want your public to be exposed. Hackers can get into it, use it. The cost will be racked up on your credit card. We don't want that. All right, so be careful. So just hit confirm, and this should start creating your bucket. All right, so now our bucket has been created, and I think our services have also been enabled for Vertex AI. We can now get back to, and we are done with this step, by the way. Let's go back and initialize our project. So we have to initialize the CLI and set our required project. So if you're doing it for the first time, you may have to select the project that you're going for after authenticating. And if you already have a project set up in your CLI, you may want to change it given you just created a new project as I did. All right, so let's go to Cloud Init. And you may also want to log in over here if you are doing this for the first time. There should be a login command if I'm not wrong. All right, so I think it should prompt you on its own. I think I'm already logged in. So I want to reinitialize this configuration. So I'll go with this option. Now I just need to select the account that I'm going to go forward with. This is where I choose the project that I just created. So the project that we just created was ADK deployment, if I'm not wrong. Let's just confirm that. That's the bucket. It's ADK deployment. Yeah, that's the ID 474, whatever it is. That's at number 1. Let's configure the default compute region and zone. Let's go forward with US Central A, because that is where our bucket is, I think. This is somewhere in the US, okay, not specifically in a region, but let's go for US Central 1. And we have multiple, so let's go for US Central 1A. So this is the one, let's go for 9. All right, I think we are good to go now. So that has set up Google Cloud for us. If we go back over here to our project now, we need to install this UX library to our device. What this does is that on running this command, it will add all the boilerplate files that are needed to ensure that our deployment runs smoothly. All the prerequisite files that we will see in a moment. So, firstly, there's some documentation which guides us through the installation process. Just choose your operating system and just use the command into your terminal. Hit enter. It should be sufficient. All right. So let's go over here. We need to go to the project root now. By project root, I mean the project that we are going to push, which is summarizer. We don't need to go into this root for all the folders over here. We just need to talk about summarizer right now, which is where we are at the moment. So we are already in this root and we need to run this command now. So you can pause and read this up. Basically, it says that it will create some templated files which are needed for deployment, and it will also just back up our files in a folder over here itself, so that in case there's an issue, we can just revert some of the things if we need to. So we go ahead with that. Now we need to choose where our agent code is located. It is located in the app folder. That is why I've put it in this app. It needs a directory in which our agent code is present. So we have app over here. Let's just go with 1. I will be going forward with Google Cloud Build over here. So I just go with the default option. Then we have US Central 1. This is where our bucket may be present and our project. All right. So now this is the project that we are using, and it's just asking us to confirm, and it will basically check if Vertex AI is enabled in our project or not. That is why we went to Google Cloud and enabled all the recommended APIs. So we go ahead and let it check our project. All right, as you can see, a lot of files have been created, starting with the backup, which has the files that we talked about initially. Then we have a cloud build file created by itself. I'm not even going to go through it, honestly. I don't need to. It has taken care of everything for me, which is why I say that this is one of the simplest methods to deploy your agent. So it has deployed things over here. So it has listed out things over here that's needed for my deployment. And to get started, I have to run the following command. Now, this will not actually deploy it. This will simply run my agent locally. So it has run my agent locally. It will let me know once it has been deployed, and it tells me that it is deployed on this particular port. So let's go over there and see what it looks like. All right, so I have to select an agent. Now this is where you select app. This is the folder where our logic is in, right? So over here, I'm going to, I want to open some news. Let me get a news article for you guys. All right, I have a news article over here. I'm just going to copy all this and I will be pasting this over here. Before I enter, an important point to note over here is that I have updated my environment file. So this app.env that you will see over here, it needs to be updated before you actually run this command, and you can actually update it afterwards as well. It won't be a problem. But what I've done is that I'll show you the example file. These 3 variables have now been updated. Google Cloud Project is the project ID, which you can get from over here. This is the project that I'm on, that I just set up in front of you. I've copied its ID, added it to my environment file. Then I copy my bucket name, I add it over here. Like this prefix is important. That is followed by my actual bucket name. That is ADK deployment 1 in my case. And then my region was US Central 1. This is just an example. You can enter whichever location you've selected for your project. So I've entered that, put it in my environment file, and only then will this project actually work. Otherwise, it will throw you an access denied error. So let's go back to the project and hit enter and see what our agent actually does. All right, so it has summarized this whole thing for me. Now you can pause and actually check if the summary is correct or not. And not only has it summarized it, it also tells us the summary reduced the word count from 181 to 23, which is a reduction of 87.29%. All right, so it's decent enough. It's just a very arbitrary tool anyway, but it works. It works as we intend it to work. So this is still local. It is still on my device. It is not deployed yet. So question is, Arindam, why are you not talking about the deployment process? When will you actually get to it? So that is what we'll be doing now. So locally, our project is ready for deployment. We've set up GCP. So all that's needed is for us to push our project. Now we will be following the documentation over here, and I've linked it over here. It's basically the same document that I was going through in the beginning of this video. Now, one prerequisite over here is that Terraform should be installed on your device. All right, and that can be done by following this link. In this prerequisite section, you will see Terraform, this header, and this is used to create infrastructure, whatever it needs on your Google Cloud platform, so that your project can actually be deployed on some cloud infrastructure. So you can go to install Terraform. This will take you to HashiCorp's website. You can go to your operating system and install it using your package manager. All right, so it's already installed for me, so I won't be doing it again. But once you've done that, you can start the deployment process. This creates a developer environment, this particular command. This make tool that we see, it is already installed on a lot of Unix based systems. So I'm on Mac OS, it is already installed over here. In case it is not installed on your operating system, I suggest you do so. So this setup sets up a developer environment, enables logging and some other metrics that I may need. And it uses Terraform to create all this infrastructure on my behalf. So it'll take some time. Let's let it finish. Also, I highly recommend to just go through these logs if you want to. This will give you an insight of what it is actually doing, what resources is it actually creating on your cloud account. Because whenever you're dealing with cloud infrastructure, it is always important to know what's actually going on there, because everything costs a little bit of money, right? So even if you're paying a tiny amount over here, I suggest you figure what you are actually creating. So this is what we have over here. It adds 32 resources on our behalf. And now we will actually deploy the backend. Make backend is the command that does it for us. So let's do that. So as we can see, it's deploying our agent to Vertex AI agent engine, and it is just pushing everything on there. You can read the logs and you can see that it's going to just use its own resources over here. I've noticed one thing over here in the logs. It's not using the bucket that we asked it to use. The bucket that we created over here, ADK deployment one. That is most likely an error on my part, some configuration that I may have missed in the middle. But an important point, and that is the reason why I'm leaving this in the video instead of editing it out or reshooting everything, is because even though I missed something, it created the bucket on its own and is using it and pushing everything on there. All right, so that is why this method is so flexible, that even if I make a particular miss over here, it is taking care of something at its own level. Also in your logs, you will see a particular link, view progress on logs at particular URL. This will basically give you the real-time view of what is happening as the deployment progresses. So we need to adjust the time frame, I think. Let's go over to October 3rd, and the time is 10:32. So once you run your query, you can basically track the deployment. In case there are any errors, you will be able to see them over here. While I was preparing for this video, I was also trying out other ways to deploy this, and I was facing so many errors. This is what helped me debug that. So it's highly important to know how these logs are, what they actually entail. So just a quick tip for you while this deployment progresses and we wait for our resources to go live. Also, I think we'll be able to see this now. The issue that I talked to you about earlier, that it is not using my bucket. So what is it actually using over here? See, if we refresh this, nothing is over here, empty bucket. If you go back, you will see that it has created buckets of its own. Agent engine and the summarizer bucket. So you will see all the files in the respective bucket, and it has taken care of everything. All right, so this indicates that our app is now up. So let's go over to Vertex AI and actually see our project in action. Now, the way we'll be testing it is via Postman, and you can simply create a front end of your own if you really want to test it. I'm just showing you that this is a pure backend deployment so far. So we don't have a front end for this. We will be making an API call to our agent and seeing how that works. So we go to Vertex AI, we search for it, we go to agent builder, agent engine, and this is the project that it has created for us. Now we go over here. This is summarizer. That's a project. You see, we have our query URL over here. And not only we have a query URL, you will see that we also have a stream query URL. This is what's actually used to make API calls and get some responses. Both of them are useful. Let's copy one of them. We go over to Postman and we will replace this with the value that we have just received over here. And this token is old. I need a newer one. So let's go over to get it. So you can use this command to actually get an auth token if you want to test this as well. This prints the access token, which I'll be hiding. So I hit enter, I copied the token, I'll be pasting it on Postman now. All right, we're here. So here, this is what you have to pass, which is the class method async create session. We want to create a session. So every time we make an API call, the chat gets mapped to a session in the backend. So we're asking it to create such a session with this particular user ID. What this will do is create a session for us. It's sending a request. I'm waiting for the response over here. We will be copying this ID over here, session ID. All right, let's just keep it over here. Now what we want to do is actually make a query to our agent. Now our agent is on the cloud. None of this is local. I'm calling Google now right now. So let's go back. Let's copy the stream query URL. That is what we need to call our agent. This is the stream query URL. All right, I'll go over here. This URL that you see is from a previous project of mine. I will paste the newer one that I just copied in front of you. Now, this is what you have to pass as the class method, the user. Then we have the session ID, which we copy from here and we paste it. I've already pasted the message that I want to summarize. And I go over here and it's give me 401 unauthorized because the token I'm using is old. The token that I just put in create session is not the same one that I'm using over here. So let me just paste that here as well. All right, everything's ready. Let's call that again. Now, as you can see, it has given a response to us. And if you've used OpenAI's API in the past, you will see that the response is pretty similar to what we receive over there. All right. So this is some basic information. We have our text. This is the summarized text that we have received over here. And it basically tells us the summarized text and the original text as part of the response. And this is just the format it uses. I'm not going to go over the format here. I'm just trying to tell you that this deployment now works. And if you are not sure if it works completely, I'm sure that it has also returned the efficiency metrics that we were talking about. That this is what we're looking at over here. So this is the original word count, which was 122. New word count is 24. It has reduced the word count by 80+%. All right. So that is an indication that our deployment is working perfectly. This is an API that you can integrate with your front end. Well, not this one. I'll be removing this project after I shoot this video. You can create your own project. You know how to at this point. And there are many other ways of deploying as well. Let's just go through that quickly before wrapping this video. For example, if you want more control over which resources exactly should be used, for example, if you really want to specify which bucket to use, how to deploy it, you can follow this standard deployment procedure as well. It's also pretty simple. You can go through it and let me know if it works for you. Otherwise, you can always just go through the accelerated development part on your own. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this video. In the next video, we'll be looking at another cool concept. So stay tuned and follow for more.